All right, let's get right into it. Choosing your optional subject for the UPSC exam. It's a huge deal, right? It's one of those decisions that can literally make or break your rank. So today, we're going to put one very compelling candidate under the microscope: sociology. So you're probably asking yourself, could this really be the one? The key that unlocks not just the mains, but a top rank? Well, let's break down exactly why sociology has become such a popular and frankly powerful choice for so many aspirants, no matter what their background is. Okay, first things first, let's cut right to the chase, to the question on every single aspirant's mind. Can I actually score well in this thing? We're going to unpack the numbers and dig into the syllabus to see why so many people call it a scoring powerhouse. So, what are the big strategic wins here? Well, for one, the syllabus is way more concise and manageable than a lot of other optionals out there. It's also pretty stable. You're not going to get blinded by massive current affairs updates. And because of that stability, you see a lot of questions repeated from past years. But here's the real kicker. The overlap with your general studies and essay papers is just massive. It's a huge force multiplier for your entire prep. And all those advantages lead to what exactly? Well, get this. A success rate of 9 to 10% for candidates who write the mains with sociology as their optional. In the world of UPSC, that is an insanely high selection rate. The numbers really do speak for themselves on this one. Okay, so that sounds great, but what if you're like an engineer, or you're coming from science or commerce? You're probably thinking, is this going to be too hard to pick up from scratch? Let me tell you, the answer is a huge no, and I'll tell you exactly why. See, the thing about sociology is that its subject matter is, well, it's all around you. We're talking about family, religion, social norms, politics, stuff you see and live every single day. Your own life becomes the textbook, which makes the subject feel super intuitive and relatable, even if you're a total beginner. Think about it. Ever stop to ask a simple question like, why do women in many cultures traditionally move to their husband's home after marriage? It seems obvious, right? It's just what happens. But sociology gives you the toolkit to really analyze why that social pattern exists. It turns that common sense into structured analytical knowledge. And that process of questioning the things we take for granted, that's what makes it so fascinating. All right, now let's talk about the real game changer, the force multiplier I mentioned earlier, the general studies advantage. This, right here, is where sociology's strategic value just shines. You're not studying this optional in a vacuum. Every bit of prep you do here directly boosts your entire mains performance. Just think about the overlap. GS Paper 1, that whole Indian society section, we're talking 50 to 75 marks, comes straight out of the sociology syllabus. Boom. GS Paper 2, you're all over social justice and welfare schemes. GS Paper 3, you've got a solid foundation for inclusive growth and development. Even in ethics, you're tackling social values. And the essay paper, it gives you a treasure trove of themes, examples, and frameworks. Seriously, every hour you put into sociology pays you back across the board. But it's not all just about marks and syllabus overlap. There's something deeper going on here. I'd argue the single greatest strength of studying sociology is how it fundamentally changes the way you think. And this is the whole point. It gives you the tools to understand why society works the way it does. It teaches you to look beyond just the surface-level events. It's not just about knowing what is happening, but understanding the hidden structures, the power dynamics, the historical roots that explain why it's happening. And honestly, that's the core skill of a great future administrator. So how does it do that? Well, it gives you these things called sociological frameworks. Think of them like mental models or special lenses. You can pick up a conflict framework, for example, and suddenly you see how power struggles are shaping everything from a family argument to national policy. Once you have these reusable models, you can apply them everywhere, from your GS answers to just understanding the news. It's a super efficient way to build that deep analytical muscle. Okay, let's circle back to that big question because I know it's on your mind. Is this really for me if I'm coming from engineering or science? Well, hey, don't just take my word for it. Let's hear from someone who's actually walked the walk and topped the exam. Here's a pretty wild fact for you. Most of the toppers who choose sociology don't actually have a background in it. A huge chunk of them come from engineering. So what's the secret sauce? It's not your degree. It's just genuine curiosity. That's it. That's the only real prerequisite. And here's a perfect case in point. Take Pooja Priyadarshini, who secured AIR 11. She came from a commerce background, and she said she genuinely found sociology way more interesting and that it created a solid foundation for her entire mains process. It just goes to show you passion and curiosity can totally bridge any academic gap. All right, so let's say you're intrigued, maybe even a little convinced. So, what's next? How do you actually prepare for this? Let's quickly map out a practical plan. And stick around because I've also got a really crucial warning for you. A good, solid plan would be about 4 to 5 months. All you need is a consistent hour and a half, maybe 2 hours each day. For the first 3 months, just focus on the reading, on building that strong conceptual base. After that, you've got to pivot to answer writing. This is super important. It's where you learn to weave in the ideas of key thinkers to really strengthen your arguments. And all the while, you've got to keep your general studies going in parallel, always looking for places to plug in what you're learning from sociology. And this brings me to that crucial warning I mentioned. Be careful. Sociology can be so fascinating that it's really easy to fall down a rabbit hole. You get that urge to just binge it, like a Netflix series. You have to fight that urge. Remember, the goal is to clear the exam, and that means balance. You absolutely cannot let your love for this one subject come at the expense of your GS papers. Balance, my friends, is everything. Because in the end, it's about more than just managing your study schedule. It's about remembering why you started this journey in the first place. Look, sociology is a strategic choice. It's high scoring, it's accessible. All of that is true. But maybe its greatest value isn't something you can measure in marks. Maybe it's about this. What if the goal isn't just to clear an exam, but to genuinely understand the world you hope to one day lead? And maybe that's the most compelling reason of all to choose it.